Hey all, I'm Will, a former U.S. Youth Ambassador from Virginia. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I have been involved with Special Olympics since 8th grade, but for the last 2 years, I was able to serve as a U.S. Youth Ambassador. I worked with my peers with and without intellectual disabilities to help spread inclusion throughout the country. That's a lot of years working towards the inclusion revolution. And over those years, I've had a lot of time to reflect and made a lot of reflections. The kind where you look back closely and review something you've done. So today, on Unified Talks, we're going to talk about reflections and how, as a leader, we can use them to help us plan for the future. But before we look back, I want you to press pause, scroll down and click subscribe. There are episodes you won't want to miss. Okay, awesome, let's do this. Like I said, reflecting means to look back closely and review what you've done. But why? Shouldn't inclusive leaders already be looking towards a more inclusive future? Well, yeah, but we need to reflect on our past to see what worked and what didn't work. We don't want to repeat our mistakes, and we want to duplicate our successes. It's super important for leaders to reflect because reflection helps them grow. And as a leader, you always want to be growing to be the best version of yourself for your unified club, for all of the activities that you're putting on and for your community. Being able to look back at the events that you've already had and learn from them is a really important skill that you can take into almost all aspects of your life, past the unified classroom, past the unified sports. I think it's also important to look at reflecting on how you worked as a team, if you're in a team setting or if you're delegating. Being a leader and reflecting about how you delegate is super important because if you're not delegating correctly, or you could be delegating better, you have other people who are missing opportunities to be the best versions of themselves. Self-reflection can look different for everyone. Are you a visual learner? Maybe you want to reflect by looking back at your data. Data is not just numbers. It can be pictures, notes, or things like that. Those visuals can show your growth and remind you of what you've achieved. For example, if you've started a unified club at your school, look back at the number of classmates you recruited. Those numbers will really show your impact. They will help you with planning so you can keep growing. Maybe you enjoy talking it out. Try reflecting with other teammates or someone you trust. They may offer a unique point of view or a different perspective. You can go over questions like, what didn't work so well? Or what was really successful? If you're on a team, was everyone able to play and show their strengths? Or could switching up the lineup and roles really make it possible for everyone to shine? Strong writers can also reflect. You'd answer those same questions, but in a journal or on a computer. Me? I need to find a quiet place for me to reflect.
So this is my room and I spend a lot of my time in here, and a bunch of my reflection is actually done right in my room. Just sitting over here without my phone or my computer on, I just sit and sometimes I write or journal. Here is my trunk and my one of my chairs, so I like to focus on that area over there just because it's away from all the clutter and all the other things, and I get to really focus on what I'm trying to think about, what I'm trying to reflect on.
Well, yeah, I think everyone has a unique and special self-reflection process, and the important part and why we're doing this is so that you can find your own. So I think a lot of experimentation went into my process, and I think that you should put a lot into yours as well. So the way I reflect now is based on making sure that I have a quiet place where I'm not going to be distracted. And usually I also have a piece of paper where I can write down the main points that I'm talking about and kind of focus on an event. Usually as a visual learner, I have a lot of different bubbles and stuff on the paper that I draw out. And then after I'm done reflecting, I can then use that paper as a reference to what I reflected on. So that it's not just all in my head. I actually remember what's going on, what I talked about, what I thought about. That's how I reflect. A leader who takes time to reflect is a good leader. But to be a great leader, you need to take your learning and put it into action. Your reflection should help guide your future. Set some SMART goals that are specific, measurable, and attainable. These can be big goals or small goals. As student leaders and as leaders in our unified clubs in our schools, especially if we're transitioning from a high school to a college situation, or if we're transitioning into an officer role, or from one officer role to a lead officer role, all those places are places that have the opportunity for you to reflect on what you've done in the past. Especially if you're an officer in a unified club and you're going to become maybe the leader of that club, looking back at how you as an officer were doing activities and opportunities is really important for then being able to delegate to those people in the future that you're going to be in control of, be delegating to. The same goes for me when I came to my college. I took a lot of the experiences that I had in high school and had to reflect on that high school time so that I could be the best version of myself and have the best version of the club at this college level. So a lot of those things that I took out of high school, I reflected on to make sure that I took all the great things and avoided all the bad things. And I think that my Unified Champions School here is much better for it. Remember that mistakes, losses, or failures lead to more growth and learning. We don't learn nearly as much from winning all the time as we do from making mistakes. Are you ready to take your leadership to the next level and start practicing self-reflection? I know you are. Just remember to set aside time and review your progress you've already made. Ask yourself questions, write, or talk with a friend. Then make a plan for the future so you can keep leading others and making change. If you need a place to start, check out our time capsule social media template and reflect on this past school year. Treat the prompts like self-reflection questions and really look back at what you've done this year. Check out mine. Be sure to tag us at SO North America and tag us at #Unified Generation so we can see how you've grown. That's all, Unified Generation. See you later.